Okay, so this is going to go a little bit faster because I'm more confident in, what my thought process was going through this draft. So, first pick, Lamar Jackson. I wanted Patrick Mahomes, but I thought it was honestly, I very strongly considered Kyler instead of Lamar Jackson. I think that Kyler is a little bit better of a thrower. He's not that much better of a thrower as it might seem this year. I think that having DeAndre Hopkins skews things a little bit. And maybe I should have taken that into account with the quarterback pick that I made, but I still believe that Lamar has the skill set to get it done and he has the drive to work his ass off and continue to improve as a player. He's got the coaching staff behind him. I think John Harbaugh is like a top 5 NFL coach. Um, he could really use a good possession receiver. I am obviously a huge fan of Marquise Brown, but that's just it's just not the kind of game that he can play. I mean, Marquise Brown, if you've ever watched the Ravens play, he looks like a little shrimp out there. If you throw like a route over the middle to Marquise Brown and he gets dropped by a DB or something, it's like that's how you get your dude hurt. So he's mostly a deep threat, and unfortunately, Lamar has not been hitting the deep shots this year, but he showed that he can hit some of them. He doesn't have to hit them all to be both an elite quarterback in real life and in fantasy. He just has to hit some of them, and I think that he's gonna get it together. We drafted coming out of their bye, which I think is pretty interesting because I think people are doubting this pick, but I'm confident Lamar is going to start just running over people the rest of this year. They do have a brutal back half of the schedule. Got to play the Steelers twice and the Colts and the Titans or something, and so that's yucky. But I'm very happy with this pick. I'm very happy to have what I believe is a top 3 fantasy quarterback. Top. It's hard to rank Mahomes, Jackson, Kyler, and Russell Wilson right now. I don't know what I would do. And but what swings things is that Lamar is really young. In fact, I think 24, 23, and Kyler is younger, but barely August 7th to January 7th. So, yep, I think he's great. Obviously, my favorite player. I have a jersey. In fact, I should go get the jersey, but I don't. I'm already in the video. So, Jonathan Taylor, I am super stoked. I've seen people that were like, he doesn't even look that good this year. We'll see about that. I think he's super talented. He's one of the greatest running backs in college football history. I think he's on a great team, great O line, great coach, great organization. He's got it all. I mean, he's going to be great. I feel great about him. Tua was probably, I still don't know if I regret this pick. And, I'm not going to know for another even year. If he sucks this year, I'm not going to be like devastated yet. But I don't think he's going to suck this year because I think the Dolphins are a legitimate team and they're actually trying to win. And so Brian Flores, who is a great coach, benching Fitzpatrick, who was playing really well for this guy, tells me that Tua must look great in practice, and they think that Tua gives them a better chance to win than Fitzpatrick. And they're even throwing him in there against the Rams, who have, obviously Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey going on. Like, that is not some little baby defense. So I'm, if you can't tell, I'm pretty stoked about this pick. I think that the odds of him being great are higher than the odds of him not. I like what the Dolphins have done with their franchise lately. They just seem like they know what they're doing right now. They're 3-3. They're in a competitive division. They could easily compete for a wild card spot, and I think Tua is going to be solid this year and only get better. So, would I rather have Burrow or Herbert? Yeah, absolutely. Or, Murray, or would I rather have Tua or Josh Allen? I don't actually know. I'll have to see some Tua games. I mean, Josh Allen obviously is talented and young and everything, but is he like is Buffalo going to stick with him for the long term? We'll see. We'll see. And given my other options, I think looking at my picks up until now, I wouldn't really change anything. I'm not. I considered Josh Jacobs instead of Jonathan Taylor, but I preferred Taylor's, you know, youth and college pedigree. Derrick Henry is 26, I want to say, but man, he's got like 1,000 carries on his belt so far in his career, and I'm just scared of picking someone who's already. I wanted my top end of the draft picks to be guys that could stick around for a very long time for me. So, and I could see Jonathan Taylor having like an 8-year, solid career. So, and Tua, I would much rather have Tua than Rodgers, Ryan, Wentz, Mayfield, or healthy Dak is another story. But I wanted the excitement of watching Tua play this weekend and being on my team in my roster, so that you just can't put price on that. So yeah, moving forward to the fourth round, T. Higgins. I am ultra stoked about this pick. I think him and Burrow are going to be a pairing to be feared for a long time. I could have had Michael Thomas. I was scared of the prospect of him still having more problems this year, and then we move to next year and he's 28, and so like I don't get my win now and I have kind of an older receiver, so that prospect bummed me out, and I knew I wanted one of these really young, like super exciting wide receivers, and I also knew that they were all going to be flying off the boards. Like already, I had missed out on Justin Jefferson, Chase Claypool, Calvin Ridley, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. So like I had to get someone, or I would be kicking myself. And I think T. Higgins looks really good, and he's got his quarterback pairing, and the Bengals in general are looking better. Zach Taylor, I think, is their coach, and he's looking better. They went 1-15 or whatever last year, but they're already being pretty competitive in games right now. So I'm excited about that pick. Noah Fant, I think, is also a pretty exciting pick. The Broncos are weird this year, and I know in my previous video I kind of criticized the Jerry Jeudy pick because of the quarterback situation in Denver, and obviously that applies here. But I also think that quality tight ends are much harder to find than quality wide receivers. And I lost Mark Andrews back here, who I would have loved to have, of course. And I just didn't see anyone else that inspired, the same level of confidence that they could be a star that Fant gives me. So, anytime you watch Fant play, if any of you have, he looks good. He just needs to stay healthy and get some more consistency and a better quarterback on that team. And sky's the limit. He could be a top 5 guy for a long time, I think. My next pick was Julio, which I don't know if I would still do it. It gave me, obviously, kind of a win now player, because when he has played this year, he has been a monster. This game was pretty weak. But then monster game, great game, monster game. And obviously everyone's talked about how Matt Ryan looks like a completely different player when Julio's out there. And so, I wanted to balance picking a good team for this year with youth, but I'm worried that I skewed something like 30% win now, 70% youth. And doing that balance just kind of hurts me a little bit. I am not seeing a championship roster for me. And keeping that in mind, like, would I rather have someone who's, 5-6 years younger instead of Julio, like Cup or something? Maybe. So this is a pick that it's interesting. How many more years could I get out of him? He's 31. Obviously, he's one of the... Would he be like a top 10 all-time receiver? He very well might be. And as long as he wants to keep doing it and he's, keeping himself relatively healthy, I'm sure he will continue to be good for fantasy for, a few more years. But I don't know. I think I would take this pick back if we draft it again. Like even Ruggs right here. Would I rather have Ruggs or Julio? Obviously Julio for this year, but for the next 6, I don't know. So J.K. Dobbins, we were all joking about him throughout the draft, and it mostly stemmed because it auto drafted him for a raw dog, and I don't think Dobbins would have been a good pick at 2.2, like what the auto draft did. Absolutely not. Look at all these players that were still here, but 7.2 I think is pretty low for a player who was a second round pick, went to a run first team that has proven that they can craft a dynamic running game and, has, just a good coaching and just a quality franchise for a long time now. I mean, you go back here like Eckler or, Todd Gurley. I know Thiegel was going for win now for sure. And in that case, sure, you take Gurley over Dobbins, but I'm just kind of throwing the ballpark that I think he probably should have been taken because of just the immense potential. If you look past Dobbins, how many promising young running backs are there? Just they're basically all gone. He was the last one, and I think he's better than we gave him credit for as a league. But the memes were funny, so that was fun. Like, would I rather have DeAndre Swift or Dobbins? I'd rather have Swift, and I'd rather have Sanders. But around this area, like Mixon, I'd probably rather have Mixon. J.K. Dobbins or Ronald Jones? Ronald Jones is definitely the better win now player, but that's when I start to think like, I might rather have Dobbins. So we had a heck of a run of receivers, and then Chase Edmonds. So this was a pick that I felt really good about. I felt like a genius because I think that he's going to take Kenyon Drake's job, and he's going to keep it next year because I think Chase Edmonds is better. In fact, I don't really even know why Arizona refuses to make Chase Edmonds their lead guy. And every chance that anytime he seems to touch the ball, he's making a dynamic play. I don't know. Like, I'm sure you all remember last year when Chase Edmonds kind of became a major fantasy piece. And then I think he got hurt, and that's when Kenyon Drake rolled up and, had a couple big games, and everybody was hyped for him. But I don't know why everybody, including the Arizona Cardinals themselves, forgot that Edmonds just makes plays, man. And I think he's on bye this week for me, but he's like my RB1 maybe when he comes back. And I think he will be legit next year too. I could very well be wrong. Maybe Arizona stubbornly goes back to Drake because they gave him the contract. Chase Edmonds is locked up for 2 more years on a really cheap deal. But we'll see. I think he is a very underrated player. And now here's another genius pick. Dallas Goedert is freaking good. And he fell too far. 25 on a team where his quarterback clearly loves to target the tight end. Zach Ertz is damn near washed, and he might get traded or something. So I think I locked up another massively good future tight end. And I mean, Goddard was arguably playable even with Ertz on the field back when Ertz was, still playing well. And that is crazy. When in a theoretical world where he is the main tight end for the team, I mean, like this, he could be, I'm not exaggerating when I think he could be on par with the Waller Kittle tier. I don't think he'll quite be Kittle and Kelsey are probably their own tier. So right below that Kittle Kelsey tier. I am not exaggerating. And Kittle's older by a couple years even. And Kittle's still, I feel like people perceive Kittle as still kind of a young player. So, yeah, this might be my favorite pick that I made in the whole draft. Mike Williams, we've talked about him a little bit in the Discord. I think people forget this dude was taken 7th overall, and he's only 26, and he hasn't been incredible ever since he's been in the NFL. But I would counter that his quarterback for a while was Noodle Arm Phillip. So, and now he's got freaking bazooka arm Herbert. I mean, so we'll see. I think he will be a major, probably boom bust kind of player. Kind of like some weeks he gives you 5 points, other weeks he's going to get you 30 or something. And as you can see, he did that against the Saints. 27.9, 8 targets, 5 for 109 and 2. I mean, he's the kind of player that can do this several times a year. It won't be every week. He's not going to be freaking Devontae Adams. But at 10.11, when, I'd rather have Chenault, I think. But on the other hand, Mike Williams has obviously the better quarterback. I mean, I like Minshew, but I'd rather have Herbert right now, obviously. So I don't know. I'd rather have Williams over Cooks and Debo and Landry and Evans, probably even. So I feel like I got fantastic value from this pick. Next, I took Le'Veon Bell. He's weird to project, moving forward. I think this week in particular is a pretty fun week to play him because he's against the Jets, and I think he wants to stomp Adam Gase, and that'll be fun to. Hopefully he does that because I'm playing him this week. But his long-term value, I have no idea. I really don't. But he could be a trade piece or something for me maybe, and I think he will be an acceptably playable fantasy asset for the rest of this season, at least. I know that he didn't get a whole lot of run in this most recent game, but I mean, Andy Reid will come up with something to use this guy for. Andy Reid loves, shifty backs like LaShawn McCoy and stuff. And I think Le'Veon can still do that. So, like a solid flex-ish for this year, and then major question mark after. I have no idea how he'll be used. Michael Piron's kind of interesting. Rookie running back. He got a touchdown this past year. His snap percentage was nothing, but it's been shooting up. They're phasing Frank Gore out, and I think he's interesting. Obviously, the Jets suck, and they're going to continue to suck. I'm probably not playing LaMichael Pirine anytime this year, but I'm happy to have him. I think this is a good, I'd sure as hell rather have him than Latavius Murray, I mean, there's a lot of crap being picked around here. And around 11, you're over here taking, a handcuff, and I got a rookie who's getting more and more work, so I like this pick. I'm happy about it. Michael Gallup's, I don't know if I love it. I think they're, some of these picks around here, I'd rather have John Brown, for goodness sakes. I know he's young, 24, but he was really getting phased out other than this crazy blow up in week 3. It's hard to say how the wide receivers in Dallas will shake up, but I like him all right. This is definitely not a bad pick. But next, I took Chris Herndon. I started to grab tight ends because I just want to hold on to a handful of young ones and hopefully get some stars and use those as trade pieces at some point because I have several that I think have a lot of potential. And I think Chris Herndon is a great player, and he's just not being used right by the Jets. And that could change very soon as Adam Gase, number 2, gets fired. And, so he's definitely a stash for me. No way he's seeing my roster. And I'm glad I got him instead of, Zach Ertz. That guy is almost done, I'm afraid. Sterling Shepard, people forget. He's only 27. And when he's on the field, he's pretty good. He had a great week 7. He's certainly no superstar or anything, but if Daniel Jones gets better, this could be a real player that could be startable. In fact, I might start him at some point this year. Drew Sample, I mean, I can't believe he was still here. Only 1 year under his belt. 96% snap share. 6 targets. I mean, I know he was down low here, but I think CJ Uzama got hurt, and that was part of the reason why his snap share exploded. And he's got Joe Burrow. I mean, so if you become Joe Burrow's favorite tight end, end zone target or something, I think I saw that he doesn't have a touchdown this year, but he has like 7 end zone targets this year or something. 8 red zone targets. Like, I'll take that opportunity for sure on a tight end in the 16th round. So I think that he's better than Harrison Bryant, but I was definitely jumping between the two. Jordan Love is a hilarious taxi squad stash for me. Green Bay has to see something in him, otherwise they would not have taken him with their first round pick. So it might be 4 seasons before I get to see any value out of this, but I could see myself holding on to him that long. Green Bay pumps out quarterbacks, obviously. So Zach Pascal, whatever. Tyler Johnson, he's actually kind of a neat young rookie guy he's gotten touchdown 2 straight weeks. There's too many weapons in Tampa Bay for this to be like a confident usage for me anytime soon, but people are going to want to get paid. I don't know what kind of contract Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are on, but this guy could emerge in a year or two. Who knows what the quarterback situation or anything will be like. Obviously Tampa Bay went ultra win now this year, but I like this guy. I'll hold on to him for a while. Rashard Higgins is playable now. He's good, and Baker likes him. Only 26. No OBJ this year. I don't know if OBJ even wants to come back. He sure doesn't seem to love it in Cleveland. Jarvis Landry's only been okay. I might play this guy this season, and we'll see moving forward. I mean, Cleveland's kind of locked into Baker, and if Baker likes this guy, they should get him on the field more. I took a few random tight ends. I think Dan Arnold is kind of curious. Very low snap percentages. I don't know, but at this point in the draft, you're not finding much anymore. Jalen Richard's kind of neat. I think he's a solid player. He doesn't get the field a whole lot because Josh Jacobs is there, but could be a nice handcuff. I could see him being, I don't want Josh Jacobs to get hurt, but the GOAT, Dwayne Haskins. Who knows? I might cut him, but for now, I just want to wait and see what happens with him. Maybe he gets traded to a team that ignites a fire or something. He just seems like he didn't care, and maybe Washington was not the right franchise for him. And then a couple random running backs here. So looking at my team, I think that I am a bottom half team for this year. I think I will miss the playoffs. But that could definitely change if Tua plays really well. I see Sleeper has already bumped up his projection from when I was last looking at this. So yeah, a lot relies on Tua, and if J.K. Dobbins' role expands, that could also be big for me. But overall, I think I'll be towards the bottom half. So for my win now grade, it would be something like a C, maybe C+, because I do think, Lamar, Jay Taylor, Julio for sure. T. Higgins is going to be good this year. Noah Fant, I feel solid about. So probably like C+. But in terms of future, I think I did really well. Taylor, Higgins, Fant, Dobbins, Tua, Lamar, Chase Edmonds, I consider a future piece. Pirine, Shepard, Higgins. Yeah, Dallas Goedert. I can't forget that. Herndon even maybe to an extent. Sample to an extent. Yeah, I would give myself a future grade of like an A-. I wish I could probably take back the Julio pick and get something else. and just honestly tank. But yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about my draft. Like a C plus win now, A minus future, and I can't wait to see how my team shakes up. Tua especially, if he's a home run, I could actually be like a contender. We'll see.